TP in two heroes, and they chain battle really tough for them to deal with. Have much other than Sunray, and Sunray being a percentage of max heal, I mean Flashback's not going to be that much in the game. So yeah, Flashback if he has a good lane, taking towers, it's going to allow SG to invade effectively, get vision down, doom the right targets, force good team fights, and control Roshan. Possible.
Now, is there the potential to do a bit of baiting here? So, you know, like you just said, if the Leshrac starts going after the towers, obviously you need a force majeure to just show up of a lot of, you know, the heroes on the side of unknown. But when you do that and you have this information, you can see, you know, X amount of heroes showing up to try to deal with the Leshrac, plus, you know, maybe one. Is that the time then that you would see SG try to invade and try to put pressure over on the Spectre?
You could potentially yes, but until Axe gets blink dagger or there's like a blink on Doom where they find a way to get on Spectre, it's going to be a little bit hard basically. Like killing Spec is not super easy for their lineup. I don't think is definitely one of the issues with them. Like they have it obviously Axe shard with Manta is like kind of insane single damage wise, but they have some issues on single target DPS. Diabolic is pretty darn good. Obviously less just so much AoE damage feels like enough single target. And yeah, you could land like more on an arrow and Starstorm, but like a semi-tanky Spectre in mid-game is gonna have some issues. They get Axon Doom to break his passive off, so that could absolutely be an issue. So even if you do see a lot of heroes on that side you have some resources to collapse, kill, pressure Spectre when you find him there, and it's tough, especially if you're lacking that damage and Oracle's nearby. You could cast either Fate's Edict or his ulti, and basically just ensure that Spectre is going to. So that lack of single target damage on the SG side is something that's going to be scary. It's hard to continue to scale against somebody like Spectre, the tankiest carry in the game, who excels at just continue to buy items and being difficult to kill raw damage without him killing you first.
This is actually such a good point too when we're talking about the Oracle that a lot of people tend to forget, is that Fate's Edict actually gives you the 100% magic damage resistance. So when you have something like a Leshrac that's going to be, you know, trying to run and hunt your heroes down, you can just throw that out and potentially negate a lot of that. So a lot of pressure is going to be placed on this Oracle, but it was a very value pick considering what they have coming out over on the side of SG.
I don't think they should be that scared. Carry, as we talked later, was extremely valuable. As long as you get it off to a decent start, and you get Vanguard at a decent timing, you then leave the lead early, and then you farm the jungle extremely faster than any other person can farm. The net worth levels that Axes have been able to achieve are pretty ludicrous. Your ability to clear stacks early is just so good. Maybe unknown can do some stuff to go hang out nearby, like foam around, sap some experience down. Maybe in the lane you'll be able to get a lot of harassment. It's gonna make Axe's life a lot harder. But to delay his Vanguard and thus his jungling, but we'll see.
I'll be very interested to see the way that you know, they play with this Axe, because it feels almost like they've got this sort of like turbo style draft in terms of the side of SG with their cores, right? Because you've got Cabo on the Doom farms exceptionally quickly. Once he gets the Midas, he's got Devour. Then of course you have Axe, who's known to be one of the fastest, you know, jungling sort of heroes in the game, being able to, you know, get a fast blink or Vanguard or whatnot. How do they potentially slow this down over on the side of unknown? You do have, you know, a Dragon Knight. Dragon Knight can be that very tanky person up front. You've got kind of a nice kill lane set up too when you consider the fact that you've got the LSA to follow up with the Dragon Tail. But how do they kind of slow the tempo of this game if they are able to just farm so quickly, other than, you know, having a Lina kind of follow the Axe around, try to sap some XP or whatnot?
The best way is to delay Vanguard in lane if possible. It's not easy, but it's definitely possible. If you delay Vanguard, then he doesn't become vulnerable in the jungle, and then him jungling is a little bit of a drain on resources. So if you can pressure him in the lane, that's a great solution. Once it gets to the other thing is that even if he does leave the lane to go jungle, take his tower. It's going to do that. There's a counter because he's so good at jungling. We're just going to blast so fast that your other heroes to react. So Max coming back to lane could be like Doom having to teleport there.
Thanks guys. Thanks a lot.
And then because the safe lane, the Dragon Knight pressure, he's no longer pressuring Spectre. So by pressuring the tower that Axe is leaving, it creates space for your Spectre, who's ultimately the guy you want to be farmed anyway. So there's There's options that could become map movement or other things. So yeah, ways to beat it. But be hard for now.
I mean, it's all we're just theory crafting here, just trying to come up with our own, flow chart of if this hero does this and then this, it's fun to kind of figure out. But of course, we won't know exactly what's going to happen until it actually does. We are, of course, waiting on one other player. They are playing on Peru for this first game, guys. And so the Brazilians typically tend to have a little bit of a disadvantage in terms of ping. So they're trying to sort that out now. We did just lose Tapo now, too. So, yeah. Buckle in. Classic SA Dota stuff. I'm pretty sure this is just good luck in general for everyone involved, because that's typically what we've seen in the past with SA. There's usually at least 1 or 2 disconnects. As long as, knock on wood, we don't end up having to do any more remakes, because that was an issue with all the patches coming out the other day. We should be fine. I'm looking forward to this, though.
Yeah, the 20 minutes gotta remake the remakes were not fun to experience. It'll work out well. Only other thing I'm noticing that's kind of a lot of sentries on the dire side. For lots of camp blocking, probably to make sure that Moreno can't land arrows accelerating. That's pretty how Moreno's seen value. Even if you're not likely to get kill threat, you always guarantee the range creep gets last hit. Catapults to limit pushes as well. So just guarantees your levels come through at a good pace, and then you provide some kill threat on the map, which is always very valuable.
それはどうかな。
little battles there.
Curious too, because we know in the past with SG, especially when Theolacor is playing the Morona, he tends to drop wards in very specific situations. There's 2 ward spots that he really likes. There's one that's over top towards the tree line, and then there's one that's a little bit further down over near the stairs area, so he can keep tabs on when the couriers are coming through. So I wonder too, with the pickup of those sentries, perhaps that's what they're anticipating as well, thinking, okay, he's going to try to go for our couriers. We've watched him do this in every single game, and he has done it in pretty much every single game. So perhaps they just want to be prepared in that manner, because it's going to be very difficult for Spectre if she doesn't have those early items to kind of help get her set up well.
It's a really big deal, actually. That's one of the advantages of having Doom here against Spectre is that Spectre with items right now, looking at her, she's got 49 plus 2 damage, plus a Appalling Blade, so she's hitting for just under 50 damage. Doom Pavo has not bought items yet, guys. He's got 63 damage on him. So he's got a damage advantage here. If you do snipe couriers, prevent Spectre from getting that band of elements, be a 6 damage boost, then it's a lot easier for Doom just to plant his butt in the lane and continue to deny Spectre while accelerating his own farm. So that is one nice match advantage there. Classically to counter carries that had low damage, people relying heroes like Centaur, but Doom works functionally really well too. In this last hit competition.
So is this the potential? Because I know when Tavo plays as Doom, he tends to go a little greedy, honestly. He likes to sit in the lane, especially if he's not getting bothered, just continue to farm up. Is this something where he's just going to stay in the lane and then have, the rotations come to him, where, we might see the Leshreck make that early rotation to help try to close off the jungle? Or do you think he's going to get a bit active?
Can be active on Doom for sure. Pretty much everybody goes very passive right now. So rather than it's more like rotations might come to him, but basically gonna prioritize his farm. He'll want to put his hero in lanes where Spectre is there, because ideally you can out-harass Spectre if you're in like a one situation that forces will be there. But there might be times where they don't want to safe lane tower and they'll TP Doom there instead. So if Axe leaves his safe lane to go jungle to accelerate to clear like ancient stacks like that Ron has been stacking. And then Pavo would go their most vulnerable tower, possibly the hood. Unlikely because most Doom said, well, it's actually more likely this game. Doom mids are much more likely to buy Midas right away. But a Doom offlane, they might say, hey, we need more survivability instead, so that somebody can
really put in this effort, and all of a sudden they're showing up. Or you know, you've got all these groups that, like especially here in SA, you wouldn't have guessed that they'd be in the finals. I mean, I don't know how many people here believe that Unknown were going to be here in the grand finals, but they've had such a time being able to play with stability thanks to the DPC leagues and just studying other opponents and just having a general structure, which I think is very exciting. So we'll have to see, but it looks like they're trying to play here.
Yep. Right off the bat, we're seeing a disadvantage on base, feeling out thing feels like it feels right. And unknown 5 minutes in this area, we'll see if it matters.
And to find KJ over here, Tavo's backing also is 40R, so they've already dropped a ward over here on the side too to block the ancients. They've got a definite plan.
This is the most important thing they can do because Morena is a great range hero. She's really good at stacking both of the camps. If she can secure range creeps that Doom doesn't have to worry about contesting them, and then take walks back, stack the ancients and the large camp repeatedly, that's going to accelerate so much faster when he gets past Vanguard and shifts to his jungle. If they slow this down, X carry really is good. Morena doesn't get as much gold either. There's that word you're talking about.
There it is, I told you. There's 2 different places that they like to place that ward, so it's already placed. I'm sure they're going to be checking that out, but 3 runes picked up now here for Team Unknowns. They've got to be feeling pretty happy, and some pressure being placed over here on Sacred. We are seeing the battle hunger coming out first and foremost, and yeah, because they're laning that Oracle up top, they're going to be able to do this combo if they decide to, which is the Fire Spirits paired up here with that battle hunger. It'll be very hard for them to remove it.
Yeah, they're just gonna run it. Lina's the hero to beat up for sure. She's got more regen right now, south on the way, but if they just zone them creep wave right now, that's the best thing they can do. Rana going the first the Oracle reads it a little bit here. Goes spot out on Lana, and it's gonna two more sentries coming for Oracle. He is not playing around with this battle for neutral camps. He's already got the large camp block, got deguarded Morena. Luckily, Oracle with that delivery of time to block the large camp, so no extra gold going to Morena here. So the battle of sentry wards and the laning stage camp controls. I'm sure you can agree.
For sure, you know, I am a support player. I do enjoy watching these things, watching where wards are being placed, as well as we already get the first play here in the bottom lane. Does fall. Wish sitting very low himself, but they'll turn it right back around here over on Constabulate. And we've talked about this. We've talked about how it's a kill lane coming out from the side of Unknown with the 2 stuns.
And
yes, I did see that sentry ward get taken down first. Don't worry.
Okay.
Good arrow.
Lina picked up. Phoenix is a little base farmer, as you know. Big spammer. That minus 2 armor just increases their farm by so much. Or their damage when they go for these kills by a huge amount. So that's how they end up getting it. Lina gets stacked off. Good spent there.
Out in the mid lane, going very nicely here for 4DR so
Dire's
far.
middle tower is under
12
attack.
and 2, Kunkka sitting at 8 and 1. See these 2 supports in the top lane, Theolacor and Chesed, are just plinking away at each other non-stop. You have a lot of couriers making their way over here on the side, but again, they've been pretty good about protecting them over on the side of Unknown, although you can see Theolacor is making a beeline over now. Hoping maybe he can get there just in time, and there are 2 right in front of him. 1, 2. He wants this last one.
I'm glad you didn't call the second one. I think he's on a path to get 3, not 4 couriers. That definitely would have felt like the second or fourth couriers to die. Very happy.
And you'd lose the bet with Avo.
Exactly.
Avo said 4. You only went with the 3 here.
Exactly. There's actually so many sentries that have been torched in this laning stage here. Theolacor is going to get in time, I think. Yep, okay, does. The large camp opens. He can arrow this for a little bit of gold if he wants. He's out of mana, but I really like the warding they've done so far for Unknown to stabilize. 16 last hits. Spectre's happy with how things are going.
There's been an awful lot of harassment going on here in this bottom lane. We haven't seen Constabulate really, you know, getting a lot of CS here. He's sitting at 9 and 3. currently, because they have just kind of been trying to do this combination with Battle Hunger and then running over at Wish. They haven't been successful yet.
Yeah, they're both struggling a little bit actually. Both the Dragonite and the Axe are just messing up each other's last all the time. Throwing the Dragonite, he got level already by bad for Axe actually.
Radiant structures are
Looking down,
fortified.
it's gonna try to chase after Wish here. Gets a nice spin, but again, does have to be careful.
No more sun,
Back off.
They have something
Doesn't
coming.
look like he's got the South on him currently.
On the courier, there's always gonna go on the Lina.
Yeah, KJ he wants this kill on Wish, but he doesn't quite have enough damage. Wish barely going to stay alive here with 80-something hit points. Suddenly, too, has to be careful. He's sitting quite low here.
Going back
Dyer's
to
turret has been killed. You have
Nice.
learned
Oh my god, they
nothing.
got the courier advantage. The same items.
No.
The same items. He's been waiting for these for like 2 minutes now.
That's snipe by Wolf. It was probably bad developed. He's looking at his current stuff. Oh, he's a chainmail as well, actually.
It's a chainmail too.
Just a
Yeah, they're
chainmail.
slowing him down quite a bit with this.
Okay, that's healthy now. Doom picks up the aura as well. With this creep in here. So he's got a lot of armor. Stabilizes lane stage. He does have some stuff coming. It's what he's gonna buy. Very interesting. He does have some mana issues these days with Devour, Scorched Earth spam. Surprised to see him picking him fast without buying a regen. See what he does with it.
Looks like he's doing absolutely fine right now in terms of you know, the health that he's keeping. So perhaps that's why he feels he can go for something like this.
Yeah, it's a Spectre, right? That's probably what it is. That's fine. I don't need regen in this lane. They're not gonna kill.
Does have the raindrops because he expects the harass coming out from an Oracle, right?
That's a great
level
point.
3.
It'll offset that harassment that Oracle will provide, but everything else is not that important. Gonna cut the wave with level 3 Scorched Earth. Very safe. The only other thing you gotta worry about when you do this is the enemy mid rotation. And with Moreno rotating mid to catapults and Kunk only being level 6. Tavo's pretty darn safe. He's gonna go Midas right after. Angel's also gonna get good last in the meantime, but looks like this is now open up space for Moreno to be flexible. And this is when Field is gonna realize
Dyer's
my ancients are blocked.
structures are fortified.
He already has a sentry ward on him too, so if he wants to try to plant it, in fact, that's exactly what he does. Cleans it up nice and easily, and protects the rune here for his Lashrek.
Wasn't able to spawn. It's alright. Ring of Health is on Axe. Very close to his Vanguard now. 150 gold away from that. But it's not amazing. He's in about the middle of the pack. Once he gets Vanguard, things will accelerate. Not a huge amount of stacks just yet, but he'll get there.
I mean, they have to be careful because they're stacking the Ancients over here on the side of the Dire. If Morana does any sort of scouting or whatnot, they could easily try to steal those away from the side of Unknown. That's the only dangerous bit about making these stacks when there is an axe in the game, of course.
Well, with that said, though, they do have an okay way to clear Ancients. So with the Spectre rushing the naked blade mill, she's gonna get out of time. As well. It's a decent way to clear
Dyer's bottom
another great
tower
lot
is
of
under
physical
attack.
damage together. They should be able to deal with these Ancients before Axe ends up finding them.
Lashrek taking his own little stack over here as well. They continue to just farm up and shove out lanes. Pretty quiet though, honestly. Usually, you know, with the S8 groups, depending on the game, of course, you see some pretty fast acceleration, but like in this game in particular, like you said, everyone just kind of wants to stand back. They want to just
Radiant's
farm up,
bottom tower is
and
under
they'll
attack.
get there eventually.
And then here's the tower pressure that we expect. Dragonite. Hit 6. Pressuring. First second stun. It needs to be a dive.
He's okay. He's got the Icarus dive if needed. He's got a couple stick charges too. Throws out some of these flame spirits here. Juke around the trees here from Wish. Try to clean it up. I want to say, does come through though, so Wish gets himself a nice kill. Stabile teleporting on in. Cleaned up this tree point, which does have to be a little bit careful here.
Radiant's
Around the
bottom
corner,
tower
40
is under attack.
Finds the kill on Shessa while this is going on. LSA connects over onto the Stabile here in the bottom lane. And Bravo here, he's axed, he's voted, and he's a big tanky beast with the Pepta's aura, but it's not gonna be enough for Angel. He does tick down a bit. I think he's still, are they gonna deny him? They need to deny him here. No, he's actually right on the cusp. Oh my gosh.
That was a bit of a bummer for SG Esports. Doom not killing the Spectre. They're gonna exit back and they gave him his bottle. So he's pumping bottles. So when he comes back from this X, fully healed, resumes lane, and so great rotation from RoboZ to offset that a bit. Tavo's still trying to finish Midas, dying there, a couple hundred short, so that's gonna slow him down a bit here. Damage mid.
Player does get tossed out. Not connecting, but again, some tower pressure being placed down.
Next still
basically
at this point. So stack's not cleared yet. But
No, he's not looking fine. It's BO5 here because he's looking real dead as he walks into 3 heroes over on the side of Unknown. And everybody else just gonna back off, continue farming. You can see too that 4DR has invaded the jungle over here. A little bit of scouting, just wants to get some of these camps himself. Just have to be careful. They have the blade mail online here for Angel, so 4DR has to be careful. He might actually take down if he's not. Oh, he's gonna die here.
Radiant's bottom tower is under
Wants to
attack.
work, but they don't manage to follow up. The X marks the spot, comes out with the bow here from RoboZ. Tavo wanted that kill on Angel. He's at so very low, but he just cannot seem to get the damage off. He's trying to run. He's very swift, but he's not swift enough. Arrow does come in now from BO5, but that's about all he can do as he's forced to back off.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Big mistake from Rash. In that area with Spectre. He must not have checked items or something. I'm confused. This is a really fast blade mail to get at this quile means, but he looked flustered when that blade mail came out, and boy was that a lot of damage. I mean his dispersion was maxed pretty quick, but I don't think anything there was that weird. The fact that Lesh felt confident looking for Spectre and finding him, and he threw out all his spells. You gotta in hindsight the best thing to do, the diabolic turn your ulti, get him to turn blade mail on, turn off your ulti, and you just try to walk with him, and then you kill him afterwards. That would be the best way to do it, if possible, but it doesn't work out. And
prize is mine.
Dragonite takes one
Radiant's
tower.
bottom tower has fallen.
Now that's two deaths on does have his Midas, but this is I believe the beginning of his Midas. Coming out pretty late compared to what it could have been.
Just a little bit of misplays, and I wonder sometimes too, you know, we talked about the fact that this is on the pro servers and they are a Brazilian team. Tavo's been having particular difficulties with the ping if he's starting to not necessarily get tilted, but just, you know, struggling a little bit mentally here in terms of, you know, staying calm, keeping cool, and sometimes, you know, that extra pressure can cause you to make more mistakes. Well,
It's got to be frustrating because there's gonna be times where maybe he was fraction of a second auto attack, or he cancel an attack moving a little vulnerable, but not the worst. Defending observer ward here. Sentry Elise kills the ward. This is gonna make it a lot harder for SG to pressure tier 1. They also don't spot the rotating over now. They're going to do here.
Again, the X with the bow. Blood Savior joining top. They have plenty of stuns. The arrow comes in. It's not enough to save Tavo though, because they do have Purifying Flame.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire's
Take
structures
down
are
the Doom
fortified.
yet again and make their rotation immediately over here to this mid lane. The Archon comes out with the blade mail. This Leshrac is just absolutely shredded.
Such a cool build, RoboZ. Also blade mail against the Leshrac, knowing that. Okay, it's perfect on Spectre, obviously, but pretty good on Kuka. Raw damage, armor, and the fact that he can reflect either Scorched Earth, axe, spin damage, Leshrac, DPS. It's a good game for blade mail. And now it just gives him this massive solution against Lesh. If they just Lesh ever, Lesh is gonna have a bad time. At least until he finishes your scepter. Lesh feels completely vulnerable. Even though it on paper gave him the opportunity to pressure and towers. We have not seen it. It's been unknown. Winning these skirmishes. 8 kill for 1. We've got a 1K advantage, and they're the ones taking towers.
Smoke play coming out now from the side of RoboZ and Wish as they're making their way over here to this top tower. totally undetected as they're going to try to wrap around. They
Radiant's
might run
top
into the
tower
Oliport
is under
here.
attack.
Yeah,
Dire
they're at the
are
X.
scared.
And the torrent. They are
Dire's
dumped them
middle
out, so
tower
they can't
is
hold the
under
LSA
attack.
immediately. But you know what? They've got the Laguna Blade. It's no problem. Down will go the Oliport. And poor Tavo just
Radiant's
hiding here
top
in the
tower
tree
has
lines.
fallen.
Absolutely does not want to get
Dire's
murdered
middle
again
tower
by
is
the
under
side of
attack.
Unknown.
I really like the build that Lina went this game as well. It's not uncommon to get like striker rate in the laning stage, but he just straight up maxed the skill out all the way. Lowers the cooldown to 7, stun duration to 2.5. When you have rate set up like Kunkka and Dragonite, it makes a lot of sense. I'm going to be the stun that is always there and is very powerful. So a little bit less burst damage, but that much less. You know, he's losing like 70 magic damage per spell. So kind of a cool build alteration. Unknown's really aiming to win this game with these smart
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
It's
Radiant
interesting to think about the
structures
fact
are
that, you know,
fortified.
they have a Leshrac over on the side of SG, so I assume that they would be taking a majority of these towers because it's just a little bit faster than Dragon Knight taking down buildings usually early on into the game. But they really have figured this draft out over on the side of Unknown. They know what SG wants to do, and they've come up with some really elegant solutions for it. So Smoke will break over on Sacred as he goes, pops the dragon form, has that blink, will jump immediately over on the field for again, and, you know, targeting stuns, man. They're a good thing. They help you win games, and they'll help you get kills.
Yeah, and getting this level advantage is so good. Level 12 on Kunkka, his Xbox got maxed out.
Radiant's middle
So
tower
good
is under attack.
as well. Chain stuns against this war. They're ready for what SG was gonna pick, and everything's looking good. Two tier 1 towers now the most important one. Mid tower is about to fall, and there is nothing they can do to stop this.
Radiant's middle
I mean,
tower
they've got
is
Axe
fallen.
forming towards Manta, but his net worth is fine, not that great. Doom's net worth is also not that amazing. So it's the opposite of what we expected pressure-wise, and
Dire's
bodes
top
really
tower is
badly
under
for
attack.
SG as the game continues. Unknown has they have the best late game carry. They've got the item solutions that counter Leshrac. Game's looking rough for SG right now.
Yeah, this entire time that we've been seeing these towers take it, and you know, this is one thing that I love about Pakaz as well, is that he's playing
Dire's
Spectre.
top
Spectre is not a
tower is
hero
under
that, you know,
attack.
is super active generally, you know, just wants to sit in his jungle, hit creeps, but because Pakaz is, as Jenkins has said before, a maniac, as he likes to say, he likes being involved in these kills. You saw earlier he had the haunt because they saw this Leshrac that was just over in the mid lane and was like, you know what, yeah, let's do it, I want to kill him. And they
Dire's
immediately
top
jump on
tower
him.
is under
Did
attack.
kind of have 40R kind of wander into his paw earlier on, right? Because it was like the situation where Cat falls asleep with his paw open, then the mouse kind of wanders in, and when the Leshrac walked over and the blade mail was completed. But you know, this is a Spectre that's active. This is also a Spectre that
Dire's
has the
middle
top
tower
net
is
worth
under
right now,
attack.
8.8k currently.
It's very uncommon in the game. Usually Spectre's lagging a little bit behind the enemy carry, and the enemy mid by a little bit. But being top net worth by this much of an advantage, he's got 3 kills, 1 assist. That's why. He's won his laning stage. He basically got a solo kill on the Leshrac earlier on. His game position is looking good. On the go on Tavo.
Yes, there is indeed another go here on Tavo, but
Invisibility, invincibility.
Too much from
thank
this
goodness for
brigantine.
Theolacor, he's
Radiant's
saying to
middle
himself
tower
right
is under
now.
attack.
That's a dangerous one. He's got blink on Tavo though, so he could go for some grabs. Aether Lens already finished for Lina, gonna make it easier for her to fall on stuns, position. 3 points in Dragon Slave now, skill build is punishing her. She's got huge nuke damage at the moment.
The way that they're collapsing, they went through the high ground over back down to low. Tavo, again, like we said, he's got the blink, he's got the war stomp. You do have the egg online too. So it's not forward immediately. Doom comes out over into Sacred Knights. LSA though, the follow up with the Laguna Blade. And they have the haunt. They're on the back line. The arrow coming through. KJ, of course, won't fall for this. But the casualties have been thrown out as also they're gonna lose 40R. And they're going right back in again. They want the stun blade. He's getting a couple nice spins here. He's gonna be so incredibly careful as he goes for that call. Just to give himself
Radiant's
that little
middle
bit of
tower
extra
is under
armor.
attack.
I can't believe he even went that. I watched walk in, spells a stun out. I'm like, there's a blade mail right there.
Radiant's top tower
right
is
before
under
your eyes.
attack.
That gives him a little bit of extra. Unfortunately, 6 rounds a bit too long, and Lina's able to clip him
Nah,
up. But I thought it was going to be way worse.
Way worse.
Killed the Spectre at least. Spectre got 2 kills. In the interim though, picks up Doom kill, and then Moreno kill. Was that really great? Yes, kind of. Axe gets the kill back.
You don't sound sold on it.
I mean, he finishes Manta. If Axe can have a monster mid game, then this can mean something. But that was them using Doom, revealing Doom Blink. That's the timing for them, and their keep stacking up their network advantage. So the game looks scary. Looks real scary for SG right now.
Do you think there was just too much pressure, knowing it's like, okay, we have our Blink, we have Doom, like, let's make something happen here? Oh, Viola Core, he walks right into 2 of these here, now 3. Sacred just shows up at the last minute, gets himself a kill. He's looking for anything else that he can possibly grab as the side of SG. They are going to retreat here. But do you think that the Dragon Knight, was that a bit of a misplay there, that they jumped on him with the Doom, especially after, you know?
I think their reasoning was that they didn't see Kunko, and then the next best hero to go on would be Dragon Knight for setting up. If they Doom Dragon Knight, it's not easy to land stun. Kunko basically has like 1 or 2 setup engagements. So I think the goal was take Dragon Knight out, ignore him anyway. If he's Doomed, he's basically so useless. So then we can kill the rest of the guys. I think that was the plan.
That makes a lot of sense when you consider the amount of lockdown that they have.
Alright, BKB on the menu for Let's Track. That's gonna allow him to play Dota once again. And he's actually not that far away. He's 1900 gold towards his next two pieces. So 1100 more gold, and he's in a great place. Damage put at the moment is excellent. He keeps killing himself against all this blade mail damage. So life is hard. BKB's up for Kunk as well. So even though blade mail is about to be countered, he doesn't care. He's gonna BKB on. He's gonna do whatever he wants in this fight. He's not doomed.
I have to say the item timings and like the itemization coming out from Unknown has just been super on
Radiant's
point.
middle tower
The way
is
that they
under
have
attack.
their flow chart, so to speak, of how they want to play this game is really just impressive.
It is. Big item neutral item drop. One of the best neutral items in the right circumstances. Can give a lot of magic to Celeste Track and some spell amp, but most importantly, if he's dealing damage to a target like a reflect, be able to reduce that damage with another shot receives back. So will be very strong.
Illusion!
At least I think that's how it works. The top area. We do have the blink completed now.
Radiant's
for
middle
Axe.
tower is under attack.
To be able to participate a little bit more comfortably in these fights, because he does have the Manta completed as well, and of course the shard is now queued up, so it'll be interesting to see how the next couple minutes go. But on the flip side of that, you see that Unknown, they think, okay, we've got this total control of this bottom half of the map, let's start putting pressure on this tower, let's make them come fight us, and if they don't, we'll very easily just take their buildings.
Dire's top
So
tower
far, I
is
haven't
under
been
attack.
extremely impressed
Dire's
with
structures are
Subile's
fortified. Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
moving around to where his opponents might be, but
Dire's top
I
tower
would like to
is
maybe see
falling.
cutting waves possible. It's not always easy to do this. You need to be in the right place on the map. So long, but if he keeps cutting creep waves, it would give himself a lot of net worth, and he would help make sure that Unknown can't easily
Radiant's
engage on
bottom
them.
tower is under attack.
Dragon
Radiant's
Knight and
bottom
other
tower
heroes,
is falling.
they can push buildings pretty readily right now. So even if they cut two waves, they're putting pressure on the other ones. But they need to buy time really now. And accelerating farm, getting your timings up is so mandatory. Unknown doesn't just run you over in this upcoming rush. On the bright side, the net worth that Unknown's had, it's pretty static the last 5 or so minutes. So it's not looking terrible for him.
I think it's really interesting that you mentioned Costabile not necessarily being super efficient in terms of his microing, because this is a person who plays a lot of Terrorblade. One of the best Terrorblades, I think, in the South American region, and he actually gave a mini masterclass to Bowie, where he was saying, you know, you have to be so efficient with the way that you use your illusions, because you have to be making space for yourself, because typically, you know, in the pub scene, you're the person who has to make things happen.
A lot of stuff going on. So could be discussing movements. Could be talking about a lot of shards now. Just they're looking for a fight. See if they can get a grab.
Dire's middle tower
in the
is under attack.
middle to sort things out. They got shard on by the way. Just purchased right after his shard on Axe is ready. So Axe can definitely call one guy if they get disable fall especially.
This is the target, though, I guess. Question, because look how tightly they're playing over on the side of Unknown as well. They've done their own smoke play, figuring, okay, no one's showing in lanes. That means that either we're gonna get ganked or we need to protect our Spectre, basically. Everything across the map, and they're gonna go high ground, I think.
Ooh, yeah, kind of looks like that. Smoke almost where it does.
So over Sacred.
It's good for
reveal. X marks the spot. Hold up with the LSA. They blow up the Core instantly, so won't have any Moreno to throw out any arrows here. It doesn't seem like he wants to go in on this.
That could have been much worse. Could have been much worse for sure. Catch a different core instead, like an actual core instead. They are trying.
RoboZ, they try to jump in. They follow up here. Probably got the Doom on, but they get the same off. RoboZ suggested will fall early after KJ. Tavo is next to go down here. RoboZ continues to fight here with Costabile, and it does eventually fall. Too much damage, but the LSA over here. Okay, Lina goes down, the fall from the Shrek, and now Costabile just trying to man fight Angel and Sacred, but he's got to be very, very careful because he doesn't have a follow-up. Although Theolacor coming back in again, like you said, arrow missing, not going to feel very good right now. Leap forward here from Theolacor, trying to just see if he can get any more vision on Angel. Costabile sitting very low. The blink is going to be on cooldown in a minute, but he's going to opt to just go and farm up this camp instead. Did get buyback out of KJ as well during that fight.
Not bad in hindsight. It looked a little bit rough there. A moment there for SG after Axe committed to Spectre, but he pops one. There's no way Axe wins this fight. But hey, they started the engagement. The Kunkka got zero abilities off, including tidal wave, ghost ship. All those things would help a lot. BKB and Leshrac was really useful too. Hit the back line. They killed the Lina, but unfortunately Tavo died a little bit too. He's missed his BKB timing now, but he would love to have BKB in that fight. Because then after Lina just stands there going, oh, what do I do? Can't do anything right now. Lina gets a full rotation off on Doom. Spectre is able to clean up Doom as he retreats, and then he doesn't get like multiple rounds of War Stomp, two rounds of Scorched Earth damage in the engagement. So could have been cleaner for SG, a little bit farther ahead on Tavo, but he's at 5. That's the team he's been heavily by the enemy team, so it's hard to hit your timing in those circumstances. They're going to support again for this. Apparently also gets rid. The wave pool is active, guys.
Excellent. Just in time for summer. Davile teleporting out. Tavo also hiding in this tree line here. Doesn't have the TP for another 19 seconds. He's got to be very cautious because you can see that Unknown was sweeping up towards that area, but looks like they've lost interest. KJ going now to just get an easy B ward here, and the Kunkka was considering going forward, but going to be able to land that torrent without the vision, so.
I mean, so much of the game right now is controlling the strike because it unlocks so Unknown knows that they have vision in that area, then it's so much easier for them to slap Roshan down. But look at the net worth of Lina right now. It's actually incredible. He's matching the Kunkkas, or sorry, the Dragonette's farm. He's got 2,000 gold until he has Ag. That's an Aether Lens and an Ag as a core position. 5-1 and 9 having a great game. He's hit 129 creep. He's cleaning up the map space that has been left on the table by some of the other players. It's gonna be big time. Because he's gonna buy Ags. Oh, here they go.
They went in with the bomb, but they have Moonlight Shadow, so they'll be able to pick up the Aegis. So they'll go over onto Angel. The BKB coming out from 40 yard now. He's mad, but just running forward against all these other heroes, but the rest of his team is not there yet. The BKB pop from Sacred means that it's not a problem. Wish was protected by the Oracle. Over on the back lines here, RoboZ was already doomed. They're going to try to clean him up and take him out of the equation. Doesn't look like they have quite enough damage, though. All right. Angel fighting the cleanup over onto 4DR. RoboZ ticking down. Is it going to be enough? Yes. They do manage to take down the Kunkka. And they're going back in for round 2 as they do see Tavo. Arrow gets tossed out. It does not connect, and they don't have anything to save Tavo here other than that War Stomp. So he's going to try to run away. They throw out the nuke, trying to just burst him down fast, but they do have a kill on Tavo. And Theolacor now is just going to try to hide in these trees. Looks like Wish has no idea he's there. Otherwise, he'd break them with the LSA and be able to teleport or cancel the teleport.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
They forced the engagement. I mean, Roche was, it popped. It seemed over. And
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, they got some kills. But they also lost more heroes. They didn't get close to touching Aegis, of course. So I don't know. And now their abilities are on Unknown. Pushes to be. pressuring the tier 2 tower. Hey, they're gonna slow down the Spectre a little bit. Gets arrowed. Ooh, do they have the mana? For this? I think they want to go for the back. They want to go for the back. For Lina.
That is ours.
Go in there. Second.
Radiant's top tower.
Yeah, they go in and grab Wedge immediately. Just trying to blow up this Lina. They don't have he's actually still alive. They go right back in. They don't have enough damage to be able to take down KJ. As 40R now, he was doing a lot of damage to the class, but this flame is absolutely shredding it. They need just a little bit more damage. Can they do it in time? The BKB comes out from Angel to be able to go. And they manage to take down the Spectre. 40R's BKB, and now Angel back up, but Aegis has been burnt. BKB coming out now from Tavo.
Radiant's middle tower
Another wave
is under
over here on
attack.
the other floor. Perhaps he stayed just a little bit too long as they'll land the torch and they'll land the kill.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen. Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant structures are fortified.
Able to stay alive with the invis and Axe doesn't get the top, so they trade Aegis out for a lot of big heroes, and now they're gonna take a rack later, it looks like.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
I mean, you gotta feel really bad when you jump
Radiant's
on probably
middle
the squishiest
barracks
friends on the team. Oh man, this tidal wave is doing work. LSA connects, followed up with the splitters. Tavo's just dead. There's no chance for that dude coming up because he doesn't have buyback first.
Radiant's middle barracks has fallen.
We'll see if they push the second set.
Dyer's bottom tower is under attack.
here.
Radiant's middle barracks has fallen.
The barracks. And they'll control the map. Yeah. A lot of heroes respawning. They had Doom. They don't want to mess around. So keep their gold advantage. Don't give their opponents any catch-up kills levels.
Done this Lina.
Then Dyer's structures are fortified.
There's like no way you don't buy the shard at some point too, right? Because you can land a Lina Blade
Stepping over to Angel, they have the egg, they've got the call, they've got all the illusions, and they finally get the kill on Angel. BKB coming out now from Sacred, he doesn't want to be there any longer. So a nice gank coming out from the side of SG. But what I was referring to earlier, Purge, you know, we talked about, you know, you get a BKB and then what does Lina do? Well, Lina just laughs at you now and then hits you with the Laguna Blade still because she's got her axe completed.
Yeah, her spell amp is not incredible just yet. With psychic headband, which is so good. This is like I love playing Lina like this. When you have a good game like this, you have a lot of items, like you have impactful utility at any moment. On the bright side, with that Spectre kill, which was huge on that, they spotted Spectre lingering to ancients or something like that as a result. Everybody up there, they get that peg up, and now they get some map control. This is the first thing in this match. See if they can also catch Dragonite. Oh, blink the fire happens to catch him. Axe spots.
Now it goes for the call, gets the spin, followed up with the arrow, everything they need to slay JV on the Dragonite. And now they'll turn this right into a tower push here on the side of S.
I feel finally be able to play go. This is what their lineup is supposed to get the first disable, however, land an arrow, follow up, and then it's like you have 10 seconds to wail into the sky. As long as they're making good moves, they're not always spotted when they're rotating lane to lane. They just bought themselves another 50 seconds. And in the meantime, Unknownist this was like 5,000 net worth they lost because of this first Spectre kill and now the second one. And they're laying the groundwork for follow kills. Deep wards, pushing out side lanes. They're going to take shrines back, get more levels. This is great. SG is back in place, back in this game. Still looking dangerous. Because again, they don't have the typical carry, but Axe's net worth is sick, and at some point, Doom transition to an Axe.
Double damage.
Looks like he's got the Shivas queued up currently for that, but being able to kite will come in handy specifically against this particular lineup that they're going against them. BKB queued up now for Angel. He did pick up the Skull Basher earlier, and we saw a couple of those little hits, but it does seem like the survivability is becoming a little bit harder because they have their own forms of just single target lockdown coming out from the side of SG, and if they're able to get those off, things become very, very difficult for Angel, who does want to, you know, is farming closer now with his team, but before obviously was thinking, okay, you know, I can always haunt him to join the fight. Well, you can't haunt him to join the fight if the fight comes to you, so.
Yep.
It's nice to see the way that Unknown is now shifting to play around the Spectre and be closer.
Yeah, They understand with like despite Spectre being such a tanky hero, there is some danger in this. Kunkka shifting to and be more of a spellcasting hero. For actually fight potentially. They see him.
Immediately over onto RoboZ, they jump forward there and they'll get the save off. There's the sun right followed up with a nice egg. If they're throwing out spells over the back line, BKBs do get popped. But the damage coming out of RoboZ, I don't think they're going to be able to keep him alive here. Yes, he indeed does pop as the rest of the side of Unknown now running for their lives. Sacred, he popped the dragon form. He thought that they were going to fight, but with that intense hit here coming out from the side of SG, they change their minds and they just run away.
SG's just feeling so confident. They know that if they do Kunkka, there just isn't that much team fight coming from unknown. Like the value Dragon Knight is pressuring lanes, being the first guy that's in these team fight situations. Dragon Knight done on a guy, it doesn't mean almost it's gonna set up a disable for Lina or something. In these circumstances, the guys jumping in on top of Dragon Knight and breaking his blink dagger are gonna BKBs. DK looks around and says, I gotta walk away or look for support. So make mistakes and give that easy setup. Unknown we can haunt this, but like it's not looking good. They even burn ulti and everything. The damage was overwhelming. So they get another pick and buy their team another 40 seconds to play the map. So SG's fighting their way back into this game.
I think one thing that it's very necessary, I believe, is that you have the Oracle has opted to pick an Aeon Disc, and they did manage to delay it a little bit because they got the jump on the Courier and one of the fights down in the bottom area. But now it's going to be just a little bit more difficult, and Chesed should always be able to get his spells off. At the very least, try to throw out the False Promise, keep a core alive. But the problem is, once that Aeon Disc pops off, it's going to be so incredibly difficult for the person who's been false promised because they need to have these follow-up heals, and they won't have it if he's forced, try to reposition or whatnot, or they, manage to stun him or whatever. So just very interesting to see how the Oracle is fitting into play here and the value of it too.
Yeah. In terms of Kunkka, false promising Kunkka doesn't feel that good, basically. And that may be another reason that SG's dooming him. Because if they doom Spectre, even with like an Axe potentially, Spectre would still do stuff because he's building right click. Kunkka being Spellcaster, which is not uncommon these days. If they doom him, none of his stuff comes out. It has so much team fight impact. And then if you Oracle him, it's like, okay, well, he's delayed and dying, but he's still not doing damage. So he just makes an obvious target. It just means that not only is Kunkka spells not doing anything, also means Oracle spells don't do anything. Because you're not going to save the Kunkka if you have that much damage output. If Axe calls on him with Manta, if Leshrax in the area, casting spells too, like there was no doubt in my mind that Kunkka was dead there. So maybe this is the secret beating their draft apart. Jump in, find the targets, pop BKB, doom, throw everything on him, and unknown can't stop it. He's going to die. So some counterplay you could buy afterwards and take a fight. Or ideally just don't let Kunkka get harder, make it harder. Or like Lincoln's possibilities later. Lincoln's isn't really going to make he needs strong enough. He needs to buy this Axe instead. But they definitely need the team fights to feel straightforward. And the warding and the observer ward. Now SG's been playing. It's given them a great window back. Game's looking pretty even, surprisingly.
Yeah, it looked very rough for the side of SG early on because they did itemize so incredibly well, just trying to deal with the Leshrac. Not only did the Spectre pick up the Blade Mail, but also the Kunkka, and it really kind of hampered them, so they weren't able to get what they wanted done. They weren't able to take towers early. It was Unknown who was setting that pace, but now that the Axe is starting to become unlocked, starting to come online, we're really starting to see a problem now for the side of Unknown. Does this mean it's over? Absolutely not. They have a Spectre. There's still plenty of time for them to get bigger and whatnot, but they have to be careful in the way that they approach these fights as they move across the map, for sure. Yep. Nice double damage rune is available over here in the bottom area, though. It's like Spectre's making her way over to pick that up, and Unknown is smoked and looking for anyone who's going to approach these creeps.
How the smoke breaks in the future. DK's gonna break his blink. He goes for it.
Jumps in, they follow up with the hot. They'll jump over and put that immediately. With that double damage too, they've got the LSA. They go out, they have the of damage now with the Laguna Blade. As they'll turn their attention over to 4DR. He is just taking down too much damage being reflected right back at him, and also just being thrown at him in general. So a very nice strike here coming out from the side of Unknown as they manage to blow up the core and the mid player over on SG.
Yeah, it was a little sloppy the way they did it, but because it was very clear what they were trying to do. Smoke breaks, haunt is press, that gives you a blink target. But I think the DK was getting impatient there. He pops his ulti, standing there visible. He's like, I could be spotted right now. I gotta go in. He blinks in. Luckily, he ends up finding the axe, which was huge. He starts the first stun. Axe doesn't get BKB off. They fall up stun. Axe just dies.
Radiant's
Axe
top
is like
tower
one of those
is
heroes
under
that you need
attack.
to jump in on a target. If he gets gone on, the engagement is just very hard. And now the game just looks opposite way, right? You gotta remember they got that earlier, and here's the second one.
Radiant
They
structures
got
are
70 seconds. As she was not expecting to get stomped that hard in that engagement.
Radiant's top barracks are under attack.
They don't have the greatest way of being able to clear out some of these waves that are getting forced in safely, so they have to sit back here. They are going to have the
Radiant's
axe
top
and the
barracks
Shrek
has
back
fallen.
up in about 10 seconds each,
Radiant's
but
top
the
barracks
damage
are
has
under
been done.
attack.
They take a tower and they take a lane of racks.
And it's the best two racks to have as the dire side. The tri-camp is already a place where
Radiant's
to hang
top
out,
barracks
test their
has
coach. Now that sets of racks there are gone. That means difficult for SG to push up waves.
Dire's
Those are the
bottom
ones that are
tower
surround
is under attack.
So I mean, I guess if they push out the lanes and they control the tri-camp, it's fine. But this means that every time you're trying to get to this side of the map, it's going to feel dangerous. Taking time. So heroes like this, it's going to take a lot of time to reset and get control of this area. So here's Sacred sitting. He's going to try to break smoke.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Very little vision. They're going to have to back up. This is a good choice. They ran straight. Their smoke was going to break. They were going to get spotted, and it was not going to work out. So they're going to big wraparound instead. And look at the drawing. Unknown knows. Two ways they're coming. And this board's going to be huge.
Immediately jumping over onto Robo-Z again, and they get the spell off though to keep him alive just a little bit longer. Sunray comes out. BKBs are popped, and they're going to immediately they don't manage to do it in time though. They find the kill. They take down Sacred. They take down Robo-Z. Sablé here, waiting patiently. Angel, Sunray coming out over on the top. We're trying to keep him alive, but this blade now is just so much against the switch strike.
It's the humiliation.
More buybacks coming out because he wants to go back in. He gets a couple of these spins, but he's going to be so incredibly careful because the damage coming out from Angel is so incredibly strong right now. The Olivor too, trying to jump back over on the back lines. Can they get the kill? Yes, they'll be able to take out the Olivor and Jensen. Jensen buying back. Angel, he's still alive. He's still fighting for his life as these heroes. They just keep trying to throw away, but they can't seem to do it. The moment comes in, it will get the kill on Costable and Atamo. Left behind us into place. Down goes the Doom and down goes the Phoenix as well. No buyback on anyone but the Phoenix. They call GG.
I mean,
Unknown taking this first game.
That was good. That was good. Pretty
Dire victory.
fun to watch. They followed up. They almost died. Tavo landed a great war stomp to make sure the egg went off. Ultimately, the power of Spectre was way too much, and they just tanked all the way through all the harassment. Even like the Doom Inferno Blade shard was really good at like locking down Spectre, stunning for like 1.8 seconds on like a 4-second cooldown or whatever. That was a great way to limit Spectre's damage. But Unknown's advantage that they catapulted from in the early game, and then after that big fight later on where they got that pick off, that like